Taya, and welcome to Haley and Taya rip up Supernatural and start over, and also sometimes talk about other stuff at podcast.
Also known as HATRUSA, and today we are talking about Season 2, Episode 12, Nightshifter. It originally aired on January 25th, 2007, and was written by Ben Edlund, who wrote a bunch of stuff.
Oh, that's a familiar name.
Wrote Simon Said, and then a bunch of stuff. Just a bunch of stuff.
Wow.
Many things.
We love to hear it. Before we begin our discussion of this episode, well, first of all, hi.
Hi.
Hi. We took a little break. We needed a minute.
Not even planned. We were like, it's never planned. We're just like, we just don't talk for a week.
Yeah,
and then
here's the thing.
Snowballs.
It's never planned, but at least usually we're like, hey, let's take a break. But this time we just didn't. We just, didn't acknowledge the fact that HATRUSA exists.
Yeah. It was kind of like that, 6 months we took between Season 1 and 2, where, at least there we had finished, and I just, hadn't edited it.
Right.
It, I don't know what happened. We didn't even, try to schedule the next episode.
No.
We both just, were like, no.
Because I had my girlfriend here, and then summer camp was here, and I was just,
I haven't even been doing anything. I just, didn't.
Summer camp just takes everything out of me, dude.
That's valid.
But we're back, and we're here, and we're better than ever. And I say that in the cliche way because that's a phrase. We're just we're just here. We're just doing
We're just here. This episode sucked.
Yeah, we're not even better than ever because this episode fucking blowed. It blew.
Not only does it suck, the last episode that we did before taking this break was our favorite episode.
It was a whole 10
one
out
of our
10.
favorite episodes.
And this one, no spoilers, but it wasn't a 10 out of 10.
It wasn't a 10 out of 10.
But as I was saying,
have to start with We have to start with the warnings.
Yes. Before we get into discussion of this episode, there are two little warnings, content warnings for this episode, which are discussions of suicide and gun in a public setting.
Yes. The suicide is very brief, and I think we're going to mention it once because it's mentioned at the beginning and then not brought up again.
Yeah.
But the majority of this episode, probably 80% of it, is someone with an assault rifle in a public setting holding hostages.
Yeah, and specifically, they think that it's a bank robbery. It's not a bank robbery, but they think that it is, so they're treating it as one. And there's also police shooting because they think he's a bank robber.
Yes.
So
there's also, this isn't so much of a warning. I mean, I guess it is. It's just an ew factor. This is another shapeshifter episode, which means this one doesn't have, this one has a brief moment of body horror from the original shapeshifter episode in their recap. But other than that, it is just the gross skin and
also there is a scene where Dean does pull the entire skin off of the shapeshifter's arm, which was not great.
It's very not good. I in fact hated it, but it's not the same as last time where they were showing all of the movements and stuff. But there is a very gross element to this one. If you wanna, you can skip this one.
You can skip this one. It's
there's a very there's a very minor
the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's all you need. That's a nothing episode to me. That's my hot take.
I have, as I forgot that I had started doing, written down a summary. So I'm going to read it to you. It's story time. Nightshifter opens with the shittiest news report cut ever. And we see Dean Winchester being held at gunpoint. Is it our Dean? Surely not. Answer is given quickly. It isn't. Or at least I thought it wasn't. Because when I was writing this, it was during the beginning. And then I quickly realized that, which we'll get into in the notes, that it wasn't what I thought was happening. Anyway, it cuts to Sam and Dean investigating a murder-suicide. Basic, she never would have done this stuff. Some girl killed a guy at the jewelry store and then herself. Dean gets a girl's phone number because of course he does. Also, I should mention, they are disguised as FBI agents. Dean and Sam then go to the home of a bank security guard whose name is Ronald, and he has a conspiracy that mandroids are invading Earth. He shows a picture of the Cybermen from Doctor Who. He is wrong, but correct on being onto something. And Dean and Sam don't have to do any investigation because Ronnie did it for them. Sam tells him he's seeing things. The brothers then leave and locate the bank that the shifter may target next, and they skitter over and pretend they work there. Ronnie breaks in while they are looking through security footage. He holds the place up in an attempt at vigilante justice. Dean and Sam try to stop him, but he does have an assault rifle, so, anyway, there are hostages. The shifter is one of them. It kills one other person. Ronnie gets sniped. An FBI agent who's been following the St. Louis? Yeah.
I
Dean
think
Winchester.
it's St. Louis, but I think it's it. I think
It is
it's
St. Louis?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's how that city in particular is pronounced.
Okay, cool. Dean Winchester case shows up and tries to get his ass. Sam and Dean kill the shifter and knock some guards out and steal their clothes and escape, and it ends with Dean saying they are screwed.
The only thing I can think of is the moment that Haley thought Dean was the shapeshifter originally is because the hostages are being kept in a vault, and one of the people in there begins to have a heart attack, so they have to bring him out of the vault. And I believe this is after Ron is killed, so Dean has to do it, and like they get his face, and that's when the FBI come in because I think they see his face and they're
and
like,
it's being broadcast on the news.
Yeah. On the shittiest news overlay of all time.
Literally looks like a Microsoft Word PowerPoint.
Like, you could do it, like, when I'm not kidding, it's like 2 rectangles that have a fade. They're like a fade to
one on the top, one on the bottom, on opposite sides of the screen.
And it's like red and blue, and then the logo of the news station in the corner, which is like an 8 in like 2 circles. And then the font is just like Impact Arial with a drop shadow.
Yeah.
It's like the shittiest graphic design.
Submit
and I understand
your news report overlays that are better than Supernatural's.
There are free Your News Reports overlay that you can get and use. Like, I don't know what their commercial license is, but like, it's like, I know they had a cheap budget. This is shit.
Right. Jesus Christ. I love it in here. And when I say I love it, I mean I hate it. It's the worst.
This episode.
Listen, we're going to get into it because we're going to get into it. Anyway, before I start my notes, because I have my handy-dandy little schedule here, death count for this episode was 6 total, 3 off-screen, 3 on-screen, because you have the murder-suicide in the beginning, that's 2, and then the bank teller is 3, and then there's the 3 that are on-screen, which are the single black guy.
No. He is immediately replaced by the FBI agent, who is also a black man.
Oh, sorry. The first black guy, and then
Ron,
and then
the shapeshifter.
The shapeshifter, because I do count the monster of the week as a death. Now it's time for my notes. So now we're gonna get into how fucking bad this episode was. Obviously, first, fucking incredible cuts. What? Oh, I meant to type news report cut overlay, but I wrote fucking incredible cuts report cut overlay because. Yeah, why not? Yeah, incredible. Right away, our side characters have particularly poor acting. What's happening here? We open with them like interviewing a jewelry store manager or something, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like so strange for no reason. The acting was just like they didn't want to be here, which made us not want to be here.
And admittedly, they all had... I believe that there is a certain number of lines that an extra is allowed to have before it needs to be a union actor.
Oh.
I believe that's the case for most productions. And I don't want to say for sure, but like that is what I've heard in the past. So that's why sometimes you'll see extras and you're like, oh, should that have been a line? And they just kind of like nod or something. And it's because they didn't want to get like a union actor. I'm not sure I think that they probably went over and were like full paid actors, but I wouldn't be surprised if like they were like an hour on set. We're going to pay you the minimum that we can roles because they were... I feel bad saying they weren't good, but they were not acting well, and it almost felt like they needed a few more takes sometimes, and I wouldn't be surprised, because, like, not only did those characters not come back, that plot line doesn't come back. Like, it's what gets them into the city.
It was to set up the fact that there are robberies happening.
Yeah, like, Ronald mentions it, but, like, once they get to the bank, all of that's dropped. Like, Dean gets a phone number, but, like, why?
But, like, why? To show that Dean's a little harlot. That's why.
I guess. Yeah.
My next note is, what if Dean wasn't horny?
Yeah, what if?
What if?
I think that would make the show better for me, personally.
Right. I just think that it might maybe add, maybe?
It could be toned down at least, because, like, I don't know, not only is he's so like that all the time, but, like, it's so jarring when other, like, the girls around him are also like, he's so attractive and hot and brave and cool and amazing, which is
right,
what
like,
one of the characters in this episode
doing
does.
That. We just need me doing that. I don't need it written in. I don't need it written in.
It's like so often it's very unnatural, and like it's not.
Would you say that supernatural? Hey, Taya. Hey.
I'm not.
Would you say that Dean's?
Hey,
Taya.
I'm not commenting.
Would you say
that
Dean's horniness is supernatural?
No, it's not. No. No.
Okay.
But, like, it's so unnatural, because I don't know if you have a note on this, but the character who does it, like, while she's in a hostage situation.
I did not take a note because I took a note of something else while that was happening, but you can talk about it right now.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like so often the girls who are attracted to Dean, like, a lot of times it's in a moment where, like...
It's a trauma response.
I mean, like... Maybe you could, like, it always feels like when they're doing it, it's like when you sit down with your friends at a cafe and you're like, did you see that guy at the bookstore? Like, did you see him? But, like, it's never in a moment of downtime or, like, anything like that. It's, like, a fixation they have, and usually in a moment where, like, people could die. Right. And it's just, like, now is not the time. It does not feel like the time.
Like, it was literally, they were trying to get them into the bank vault so that they would be safe or whatever. So that, like, they would know that the shapeshifter is or is not in. I don't know. But she was like, oh my god, who is that man?
And she's saying it to Sam, who is just like, okay.
And Sam goes, that's my brother.
Yeah, she's like, who is that guy? And it's like, but then she continues talking to him about how hot he is. And I'm like... Everyone else in here is like really stressed out. Like, people are praying and having panic attacks and, like, heart attacks and whatnot. And she's, like, over here, like, mooning over Dean Winchester.
Right. It's whatever. Fine. The NSYNC FBI badge showing, classic. When they get to Ronnie's house, they show their badges because he's like, show me your badges, because he's, like, you know, paranoid and crazy. Then I have the fact that the glass door was so clean was absolutely the fuck not, especially not this man. Like, he leads them into his house and, like, he has, like, the fucking red string boards. Like, he's not cleaning his glass doors.
Especially an exterior glass door. Like, clean it sometimes, but, like, who's cleaning their exterior glass door that often? Right. Who, like, doesn't, like, I'm sure, I know there are people who do, but, like,
but not
that
him.
Clean? No.
That clean? That guy? No. Then I have his name is Ronald? Dad? My dad's name is Ronald, and it throws me off whenever there's a character named Ronald. Then I'm going to use my one, which I have not forgotten about, which is that Dean looks so pretty in the shot where he's looking up at Ronald. Hi, Dean. That's my note. Sam saying he'd tell the truth and then not telling Ronald the truth. Oh my god. And then Dean literally looked at him like, what the fuck, Sam? It was this moment, because, like, you know, Sam is kind of set up as, like, the bleeding heart. He's supposed to tell the truth when he can see somebody is, like, maybe hurting because they don't know the truth or can't tell, like, what they're doing. Especially, you know, you figure Sam, who doesn't know himself, like, what's going on with himself, that maybe, like, he would help this guy. But he's just straight up is like, you're crazy. And Ronald's like, oh. And Dean is just like, okay, alright, okay. Pretty good quality CCTV. Maybe it's too real. Taya was talking about how it's just like, you know, they recorded and put it through like a filter to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really funny. The setup for this episode has been really poor. I believe we are supposed.
Bad.
Yeah. I wrote that I believe we were supposed to be attached because of the shapeshifter who stole Dean's identity. And we're supposed to believe that it's that shapeshifter. But the lead-in was and is horrible, and also that shapeshifter died.
It's not.
It's
yeah,
not.
I went back onto the skin wiki because I wasn't 100% sure, but that shapeshifter is dead. These shapeshifters have nothing in common, and the thread ends up being that the FBI has been looking out for Sam and Dean
because he somehow knew that they weren't dead. They knew they weren't dead.
I can't remember when the other episode where there was like someone who was going to arrest them. Like, I think that was beforehand. Mm-hmm. But like, it just like, it could have been in a different episode and a better episode. Like, this episode just sucks.
Right. I have the line where Ronnie first does his break-in, and he says, "Get on the ground now," and Dean is like, "Okay, doing that." I just thought like that was funny because he has a gun and Dean is scared because he has a big gun. Ha 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 ha. Then when Ronald died, it was this really weird moment because literally all of the audio stopped. It was
we're already
dead
there?
Silence. And
did we just jump ahead?
What?
Did your notes just jump ahead?
Oh, no, I didn't read the whole note is what happened.
Oh, okay, got it. No worries, You're fine.
No. Rewind. Oh, it's rewind time. Get it, like the YouTube rewind? I'm funny. I have the note. This is really sad right now because you can tell Ronald is very distressed, is the note. Because it's Sam and Dean trying to be like, "Oh, chill out, guy." And Ronald is like, you all think I'm crazy. And it's upsetting because out of all of the extras or like side characters in this episode, Ronald's was definitely executed the best. Or not executed the best. His actor was the best one, I think.
Yeah.
So to see him like visibly distressed was kind of sad. Then I have, Dean, you aren't Spencer Reed, you can't do this, because Dean tries to fucking negotiate and like calm down the situation, and it's so bad. Because Dean,
it was bad.
You are not equipped for this. You cannot even pretend to be because you're not, and it was so bad. But I do not believe for a second that he would have calmed that situation down. Ronald should have shot him. Anyway, OMG, imagine falling on Skin Shed because Ronald falls into the Skin Shed pile.
It was bad.
And then he sniffed it. My next note after that is the SWAT team, because it cuts to this shot where it's like showing all the helicopters circling overhead. And you're just like, okay, I guess so. Just realized that this bank scene is from the beginning of the episode. That's where I realized, oh hey, the execution here sucked.
They've done in media res before and made it work. They just, like, they failed to make it obvious that it was in media res at first, which is a very strange thing for me to have happen.
Right.
I didn't realize that we were being shown that. Like, it took me a while to be like, oh, because I, like, forgot the beginning of the episode until you mentioned it again. And I was like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
It was weird. It was weird.
It was not well executed at all. Do better. You won't.
They won't.
Then I have the note, this is just like Among Us. And then
Haley then made 8,000 jokes about.
It's just Among Us. They were trying to find the imposter. Boom, 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 boom. Who's sussy?
You had to tell kids they weren't allowed to say sussy anymore.
I wish that we would do that.
I mean, kids kept saying sussy vodka.
Yeah.
And you had to be like, you can't say that.
Yeah, I know. I try all the time to get them to stop saying shit like that, and they just don't.
We were just like, nope, get out of it. I remember someone got sent, like, one of the other teachers sent a kid to the office because he said, hey, you guys, no more memeing. And the kids said a meme anyway. Oh. And he got sent to the office. And I remember his parents coming in and, like, seeing him in the office and just, like, he was having a complete meltdown.
Oh, my God.
And they were like, what happened? And they were like, he said a meme.
That's so funny.
The parents were like, what does that even mean? Anyway, don't let your kids on TikTok when they're 8.
Please, for the love of God, stop giving your children cell phones. Sincerely, a future teacher. Granted, a high school teacher where, like, it is pretty acceptable, I think, to have a cell phone. But I'm not there.
It's when the 10-year-olds and, like, some of my, like, 8-year-olds had cell phones. And it was, like, that was where I was like, that's a lot for me.
Dude, I have 6-year-olds who have cell phones. It's insane.
I'm sure I did, and I just didn't know it.
I wish I didn't know. Anyway. When the old man starts having a heart attack, Sam is like, ugh, great. This old man is pranking us.
Like, dude, he's dying. And he's like, he does like that hand, like when characters are like exasperated and they like put their hands out and they like kind of like roll their eyes and, like,
Yep.
head back. Like, that was very much what happened. And it was like, Sam?
It was like, Sam, he's having a heart attack, my friend.
He is straight up dying.
So then I have a really cool note, which is, oh, wow, that's so weird that the only black man in the whole episode just got revealed to have been dead this whole time. Granted, he is then not the only black man because they replace him and think that that's okay, but it doesn't...
Who is then, he will be coming back at least. He is a repeating character. However, for the majority of his time on this show...
He is an antagonist.
The FBI agent Victor Hendrickson is an antagonist.
And also, the fact that... What was his name again?
Victor? Or
No.
Samson?
Samson.
I don't actually know how I don't know if they...
It was just on the
say
wiki
his
page. I don't think they said it.
name.
It might have been like
It
on
might
a name
just-
tag.
It might be in the credits or something.
Maybe. But
admittedly-
regardless.
Admittedly,
he's the
like,
first-
no one in this,
We're
except for
funny.
Ron, I would argue, had much of a personality, but it was very, like, it was not good.
Right. But Samson, I'm pretty sure he was the first on-screen, like, dead person.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's cool. Then I have, oh, Ronald just got shot and killed, frowny face. And here is where I will go on my thing.
Go for it.
It was really weird because when Ronnie dies, when Ron conspiracy theory dies, it goes completely silent. Like, music off, audio off, like, sound. Like, I thought my headphones had disconnected for a second, but then you said something, and I was like, holy shit. It's just really not, there's no audio. But it's supposed to be a really big moment, and, like, I can see what it was trying to do on multiple levels. Because, A, we have this character who was really scared that he was, like, losing his mind. And then he finds out that he's not losing his mind, but he has done a very questionable and horrible thing. And brought a assault rifle into a public space.
And shot it. He has not
shot
killed
it.
anyone, but he did shoot it several times at the ceiling and took hostages.
Yes. So, like, questionable actions, but, like, we know that he is, like, scared and doesn't know what's going on. But then we have this, like, minor redemption in that he's like, oh my god, like, I was right. That's really awesome that I'm not losing my mind. And then Dean taking him in and, like, utilizing him as a pawn. And Dean being like, I know this isn't ideal, but it's what needs to be done. And then having Dean have to see that his actions have consequences and see this like civilian that he brought in on this die in front of him is, like, I think supposed to be this huge thing. And it is in the sense that, spoiler alert, Ronnie comes back as a vengeful spirit in season 4. So it is made into something. However, the scene was so nothing
I
that it's just
had
like,
a hard
oh
time
no,
with this
he's
scene.
dead.
Well, this episode is bad. So I did not feel attachment to any of the characters. So I felt nothing when he died, and if anything, I was just kind of like, fine.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to say that I think a character is like people, like, it's hard to explain this in words because I don't believe in, like, the death penalty or killing people. I don't think that, like, if this were real life, I would not have wanted him to die. That sounds weird.
Don't send in a sniper to kill this, like, the person doing the crime. Maybe.
But, like, I could not feel that, like, I did not have an emotional response to him dying. Because I was just like, I don't care. It's
supernatural and people die and come back all the time.
That's
so it's
true.
Hard to have an emotional response.
Yeah. And at the beginning when he was first introduced, I did feel bad. I was talking to Haley about this during the episode. I did feel bad because something was going on, and he was right that something was going on. He was just wrong about what it was. And Sam was basically like, there's nothing going on, and you're crazy.
There's nothing going on, you're crazy.
And I felt bad to some extent, but on the other extent, I just felt like this is one of those people who's really into conspiracies, and that can be really dangerous. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily blame most people who get stuck in conspiracies, because I've done, like, a lot of, like, research and listening to podcasts that I understand, like, that like, a base level for those people, like, it's not, like, necessarily their fault that they're getting, like, the wrong information from the wrong places, but
right.
I did not feel bad for this character. I just felt like the show put him in a weird position.
Yeah.
Where he was wrong, and they were making fun of him for it, but he was also not wrong. Mm-hmm. So I felt nothing.
Right.
Felt nothing.
I think that Eddie was prototype Ghostfacers. Hot take.
A little bit, yeah. But also, we've already seen the Ghostfacers.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did. Didn't we?
No, we didn't.
They were in the Tulsa episode. Tulsa?
No.
Not Tulsa. What is it?
Tulpa?
Thank you.
Oh my god, we did.
Yeah, because that's the Blue Oyster Cult one.
God.
And I'm obsessed with that one. Because I got it right. Because my research paid off.
I feel like a fool. Yeah, but we haven't played with them yet.
No, we've only met them, and I don't even know if they were the Ghostfacers at that point. Or, no, they were, but they were, like, not... It wasn't the same.
Correct. Anyway.
This episode sucks. That's all I wanted to say.
Sucks. So then I have the fucking zoom on Dean's face while he's on the phone was so funny. Because Victor, right? His name is Victor?
Victor.
Victor's like, I know your voice, Dean Winchester. And Dean, like... There's just a zoom and it's incredible. Watch this episode
looked away
for
when
nothing
that happened
but
too,
that
because I was
fucking
looking up
zoom.
Victor, so I didn't see it.
It was so funny. And then I have this like long thread here where I go, win for me, the blonde girl is the shifter. Because in the beginning when the blonde girl first like there was a lingering shot on her face watching Dean like try and save them. And I was like, oh my god, she's the shifter. And then she wasn't the shifter. And I was like, okay, well, she has to be the shifter at some point. And then she wasn't. And then she was. And I was like, oh my god, she's the shifter. And then I was like, wait, maybe she's not. Because she passes out when they show her the body. And then I have the note, Dean was fully ready to stab this woman in the chest. Because she literally collapses. She passes out. And Dean stands there, looks down, shrugs, and then gets on his knees and raises the knife like he's about to stab her in the chest. And it's...
I
think it was funny as hell.
Both Sam and Dean like look back and forth for like a good solid 30 seconds, like debating, and then Dean is like, whatever.
Yeah.
And Sam has to stop him and be like, wait, why would the shapeshifter do that? That doesn't make any sense.
And then I was like, okay, no, I was basically right. Because the blonde was the shifter, but the shifter was shifted as the blonde but dead to prank them, to give them a little prank, a little funny. And then I have the note that I think that it was smart to show that very subtle breath in the quote unquote dead shifter.
Yeah.
Because like before it was revealed, it like shows the body, and I was like, did it just breathe? And I couldn't tell at first, like, I was like, maybe that's just, like, an error. No, it was, like, I think it was a subtle camera choice, which is, like, okay, Supernatural, do more of that.
Give us a tiny, tiny smidge. Go, girl, give us a microscopic image.
Yeah, give us some more of that.
Almost nothing.
Second to last note is that I think we can agree that the fact that we don't know what's happening is the biggest problem of all in this episode particularly. Obviously, that is an overshot thing throughout Supernatural, that things happen and we don't really know what's happening. But this episode in particular, the whole time we were just like, huh? What? And finally, my last note is, now they're both on the run from the law. Oh no! And those are my notes for today.
Yeah.
We've already talked about the fact that you don't have a lore library today.
That was off the record.
That was off the record.
I have nothing. I got straight up nothing.
Because we've already talked about the shifter, so
it's a shapeshifter, and they have not changed the lore, so
yeah, it's one of the many that has remained the same at least up to this point. And I don't know if shapeshifters come back, but
I think they do.
They have to, right?
I'm checking.
While Taya checks that, I'm going to deliver my crack shipping. Today's crack ship is that it's Sherry and Franny. Now I know you're thinking, what are those two names? Sherry is the blonde girl who thinks that Dean is brave, and Franny is the girl who gave Dean her number. Who gave Dean her number. I think that they should be together.
There's technically at least shapeshifter mentions until throughout season 15, but I don't know how present they are as a monster. So.
Right. I just accidentally pressed on a Duolingo notification, and now it's trying to make me practice right now. No, thank you. Yeah, that's my crack ship. Today's episode was brought to you by Renegade by Styx. It was the only song that played in the whole episode, and it was at the end. Ironic part was me going, hey, there's no music in this episode. And then about 5 minutes later, it played. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess we do have a music. Which was cool because it allowed us to do this segment. Next is our favorite Wikipedia page thing. Would you like to put yours first?
My favorite wiki page thing is in the trivia section.
Okay.
And it's that Sam and Dean walk out of the bank in SWAT gear. It is unknown why they never make use of it in future episodes, despite the advantage it may give them against powerful enemies.
Oh my god.
Because I don't know.
That's a really good point.
I don't know if it was location based. Like, I don't know if it had, like, Milwaukee on it.
Right.
There's a chance. But SWAT gear in general could have, like, I feel like this show, they'll get a thing and never use it again. And we've already talked about them having, like, flamethrowers and gloves and this and that.
D&D syndrome. That happens in D&D a lot, you know? It's like you get this item and then you completely forget you have it.
But, like, at least usually in D&D, like, you have it.
Show.
You have it. I feel like in D&D, though, like, at least most of the time you will write down an item and then just, like, never use it. I feel like they just completely forget that they have these things. I do want to say before you do yours, though, that the CW official summary had a typo again.
That's so funny. Stop it.
Like, again, I've talked about this before. Get a copy editor.
Why are they so bad at this?
They're so bad at it.
Oh, so this is funny because last night at dinner, I was actually talking about HATRUSA because I was like, oh my god, I'm recording HATRUSA again tomorrow. And Joey was like, wow, again, you're going back on it? And I was like, okay, leave me alone. You try to run a podcast. And he was like, it's actually not that hard. And I was like, all right, fuck off. Joey, if you're listening, eat my dick. But he was like, you know, Haley, you better finish HATRUSA quick or else CW is going to go after you. And I was like, for fucking what? And he was like, I don't know, slander. And I was like, okay, go after us then. He was like, they're going to sue you. And I was like, for what? We don't slander the show. And he was like, literally the title is Haley and Taya Rip Up Supernatural. He said rip apart. And I said, actually, it's rip up Supernatural. And rip up doesn't necessarily mean necessarily mean slander it. We just talk about how it could be a better show.
Yeah, like, this is nothing in here you can sue us for. And if you tried...
Joey was like, they're going to sue you. And then my dad was like, they're going to send a cease and desist before they sue. And I was like, okay, yeah. And Joey was like, okay, but would you stop? And I was like, Joey, if the CW, a major television network, sent me, Haley, a cease and desist, yeah, I would probably stop.
I feel like we could get a lot of traction off that by just posting and being like, the CW doesn't want people critiquing their content. And we could post that on Twitter and we would just blow up.
We could literally just be like, hi guys, this might be our last episode. The CW has sent us a cease and desist. And then post it on Twitter, and then we would be the good guys. So, like, fuck you, CW, come for me.
Well, the thing is, like, we're not even making money off of this. No, we're not. Because I think the only
time
you would be able to is if we were making money.
It wasn't, he didn't say better hurry up on HATRUSA. He said, you better hope you don't blow up too much.
Oh, boo!
And I was like, fuck you, first of all. But yeah, we're not making money. Yet. Anyway, yeah, CW sucks. Sorry.
What is left? I don't remember where we are.
My favorite wiki is in the error section. It is that after Ron is shot, he is visibly breathing. And I think that that's really funny because, like, I thought that's what had happened. I didn't notice that, but I noticed the very subtle breath that the shifter took, which is so funny to me. But then I have a kind of a second one in that in the trivia section, it says Henriksen tells Dean, and yes, I know about Sam too, Bonnie to your Clyde. He was referring to the Great Depression era bank robbing duo, Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow. Yeah, no shit. Who else would he be referring to?
I love when the wiki does that because I know they are just trying to give references to people who might not be aware. But when you do know, and it is an obvious reference, as it so often is in Supernatural, like, Dean will be like, that's a Star Wars quote, and then the trivia section will be like, that's a Star Wars
is
quote.
A movie that came out in the 1970s.
Yeah, it's like a little bit funny. But, like, as someone who doesn't always get references, I could appreciate it. It's just always very funny.
I will appreciate when it's just something that I don't know.
Yeah, it's always funny when it's like, here's the reference. It's like, and it is like, the character says the title of the thing they're referencing. And then it's like, Scooby-Doo references Scooby-Doo, and it's like,
right?
Yeah, it does. You're right.
It's so funny. Thanks, Supernatural. You have one thing. And it's not even your thing,
them,
it's the
wiki.
fucking Wikipedia!
Yeah, it's not them.
Lord. It's fine. Do you want to know my rating?
Yes.
Okay, my rating for this episode is 2.7 abandoned skin piles out of 10.
Okay.
Here's why. I think that this episode, and I said this a little bit at the end of the reaction recording, this episode is fucking identical to Croatoan, except it's not. It's not identical, but they're like fraternal twins. So
yeah, it's got similar.
Croatoan had a 3, so this gets a 2.7.
So on IMDb, this
400.
episode has an 8.9 out of 10.
Guys, rate your shit better.
I'm gonna send you one that I'm not going to read out loud, but
Okay.
that is the lowest one on this page.
Oh, I see why you're not gonna read it out loud.
Well, I'm gonna read the actual, like, the summary, but I'm not gonna read the title.
Right.
But this is 7 out of 10, and it was posted on May 14th of 2022. And it says, it seemed like the writers for the inside bank scenes never spoke with the writers for the outside the bank scenes.
That's
Which
really
is
funny.
fair, because I'm just remembering now that there is a police officer who is initially in charge of the investigation.
Right.
And they kept giving shots of him like I was supposed to know who he was.
Right.
I wasn't sure if he was from
Was that the
another
white
episode.
guy?
Yes, the white guy, before the
Okay.
FBI shows up.
Yes.
And I looked on the page, and he doesn't have a name, so he's not a reoccurring character, so
Oh.
I don't know why they kept giving shots like I was supposed to know who he was.
Right,
And
like
I didn't.
the one of him getting out of the car in particular.
Yeah. This is these are all like 10 out of 10, a must-see of the season.
Literally false. Guys, Playthings is right there.
Literally, this one says it's a 10 out of 10, and it's called They Are So Screwed.
Like
My
funny
God,
line.
this was a good episode.
Supernatural fans, up your fucking ante.
Obsessed
Expect
with, does
more.
anyone know the name of that song? Please email me at email address if you do. I'd appreciate it. I love that.
Should I
That's
email
2007. No,
Should I email?
this was in 2007, Haley.
That's even funnier. So they didn't have the wiki. They had to be emailed.
Well, because what I'm imagining happened is that the show aired and they didn't, like, write down the lyrics or remember them well enough to look them
That's
up,
so
so they had to
funny.
be like, guys, what was this one?
Obsessed
This one
right
says
now.
his laser eyes. This one says it's funny. I just, finally, Sam is on the FBI database. Like, it's just like this, we're always off on these, but even the lowest one with a written review is a 7 out of 10. And I don't see that. I just don't. Maybe we're just really mean.
What is the rubric?
I don't know.
I'd like to know the rubric,
I don't know.
please.
I am curious. I feel like maybe to some extent these are like just like because like this is how I rate books where I'm just like this feels like a 3 out of 5.
Well, that's what I do.
But I don't know because this one was bad
Right.
and this episode is long.
Right. I hate it here.
It's bad. Thank you so much for listening to Hatrusa. We are Hatrusa everywhere. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, other places, Google Podcasts maybe. Please share, comment, leave a review. Those help out. I am very slowly working on figuring out video editing. My computer has been going through some shit, so I'll get these up on YouTube at some point. And
Please subscribe and listen. Please prove my brother wrong.
that's our new campaign. Prove Haley's brother wrong.
Prove Joey wrong, please.
Yeah, we will try to actually post on Twitter if we're not going to have an episode, but this was unexpected. This is a surprise hiatus.
Yeah, also, I will not be posting on Twitter until I log back in on Twitter, which is, like, never, because I don't check Twitter as much as I was gonna say as much as I should, but, like, should I?
No. No, the answer's no.
Hey, Taya.
Hey, Haley.
You ready to dip our toes into some angel stuff?
You know what? Why not? Why not?
Why not? We'll catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.